From the dawn of civilization, conflict has been an unwelcome companion to mankind. It has cast a long and dark shadow over human history, shaping our societies, our values, and our very understanding of the world. Wars, in all their brutality and destruction, have served as both catalysts for change and stark reminders of our capacity for both great good and terrible evil. The pages of history are filled with tales of battles fought and empires won and lost. Each conflict, regardless of its scale or outcome, has left an indelible mark on the course of human events. These conflicts, as much as we may abhor them, have been instrumental in shaping the world we live in today. They have redrawn maps, toppled empires, and sparked revolutions. They have led to technological advancements, medical breakthroughs, and social reforms. Yet, for all the supposed progress born from conflict, the true cost of war is always measured in human lives. The stories of those who have lived through these tumultuous times, both on the battlefield and the home front, serve as powerful reminders of the enduring human cost of conflict. It is through their experiences that we can truly understand the impact of war and strive to create a more peaceful future. In the summer of 1914, the world watched in disbelief as Europe, a continent teetering on the brink of war, plunged headlong into an abyss. What began as a regional conflict in the Balkans quickly escalated into a global conflagration, engulfing nations from every corner of the globe. World War I, a conflict unlike any before it, shattered the illusion of a civilized world. It introduced a new era of warfare characterized by industrialized killing on an unprecedented scale. Trench warfare, poison gas, and machine guns became grim symbols of a conflict that seemed to know no end. For 4 long years, the battle lines remained largely static as millions of soldiers on both sides were locked in a deadly stalemate. The human cost of this conflict was staggering, with millions dead and countless others physically and emotionally scarred. The Treaty of Versailles, signed in 1919, officially brought an end to the hostilities. However, the treaty, with its harsh punishments for Germany, would sow the seeds of resentment and instability that would ultimately contribute to the outbreak of another world war just 2 decades later. 2 decades after the guns fell silent in Europe, the world found itself once again on the precipice of disaster. The rise of aggressive ideologies, fueled by economic depression and simmering resentment over the Treaty of Versailles, set the stage for another global conflict. World War II was a truly global conflict, fought on land, at sea, and in the air across multiple continents. From the beaches of Normandy to the jungles of the Pacific, millions fought and died in a war that would forever alter the course of human history. The horrors of World War II, including the Holocaust, the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and the systematic genocide of millions, served as stark reminders of the depths of human depravity. Yet amidst the darkness there were also stories of incredible courage, resilience, and sacrifice. The Allied victory in 1945 marked the end of the war and the beginning of a new world order. The United States and the Soviet Union emerged as global superpowers, their ideological differences laying the groundwork for a new era of geopolitical tension, the Cold War. In the aftermath of World War II, the world found itself divided between 2 opposing ideologies, capitalism and communism. The United States and the Soviet Union, former allies in the fight against fascism, emerged as bitter rivals, locked in a geopolitical struggle for global dominance. The Cold War, as it came to be known, was a period of intense ideological conflict marked by espionage, propaganda, and proxy wars fought on battlefields far from the shores of the superpowers themselves. From Korea to Vietnam, Afghanistan to Cuba, the 2 superpowers supported opposing sides in conflicts that often served as proxies for their own ideological struggle. The threat of nuclear annihilation hung over the world like a dark cloud. The Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962 brought the world to the brink of nuclear war, highlighting the very real dangers of the Cold War's escalating tensions. The fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989 and the subsequent collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991 marked the end of the Cold War. While the world breathed a collective sigh of relief, the legacy of the Cold War, with its emphasis on military alliances and the proliferation of nuclear weapons, continued to shape international relations. Section 5: The Shifting Sands Conflict in the Middle East. The Middle East, a region long at the crossroads of history, has been plagued by conflict for much of the 20th and 21st centuries. Religious tensions, political instability, and competition for resources have fueled numerous conflicts, leaving a legacy of violence and instability. The Arab-Israeli conflict, perhaps the most intractable of the region's conflicts, has its roots in the early 20th century and the competing claims to the same land. Numerous wars, terrorist attacks, and failed peace attempts have characterized this enduring conflict, leaving countless lives lost and a lasting legacy of distrust and animosity. The US-led invasion of Iraq in 2003, launched on the premise of eliminating weapons of mass destruction, further destabilized the region. The war and its aftermath led to the rise of sectarian violence and the emergence of extremist groups like ISIS, which seized control of large swaths of territory in Iraq and Syria. The conflicts in the Middle East, with their complex web of actors, motivations, and consequences, continue to pose significant challenges to regional and global security. The search for lasting peace in the region remains elusive, but the human cost of these conflicts demands continued efforts towards a peaceful resolution. Section 6. The Scars of Battle War's Enduring Legacy. War's impact extends far beyond the battlefield, leaving deep and lasting scars on individuals, societies, and the world at large. The physical and emotional toll on soldiers and civilians alike is immeasurable, with countless lives lost or irrevocably altered by violence, displacement, and trauma. The social fabric of nations is often torn apart by conflict, dividing communities, fueling prejudice, and eroding trust in institutions. The economic costs of war are staggering, diverting resources away from essential services like education, healthcare, and infrastructure, hindering development and perpetuating cycles of poverty. The environment, too, bears the brunt of war's destructive power. From the poisoned battlefields of World War I to the scorched earth policies employed in modern conflicts, war leaves a legacy of environmental degradation that can take generations to heal. The scars of battle, both visible and invisible, serve as a constant reminder of the true cost of conflict. It is a cost borne not only by those who have lived through war, but also by future generations who inherit a world shaped by its consequences. Section 7. The Price of Peace. Lessons from History. As we reflect on the countless conflicts that have punctuated human history, it is essential to ask ourselves, what lessons have we learned? What can we do to break the cycle of violence and create a more peaceful future? History teaches us that war is rarely, if ever, the answer. While there may be times when military intervention is necessary to prevent greater atrocities, we must always exhaust all other options before resorting to violence. Diplomacy, dialogue, and a commitment to understanding different perspectives are essential tools for resolving conflict peacefully. International cooperation, through organizations like the United Nations, is crucial for fostering dialogue, mediating disputes, and upholding international law. We must also address the root causes of conflict, such as poverty, inequality, and lack of access to education and opportunity. Investing in sustainable development, promoting human rights, and fostering intercultural understanding are essential steps towards creating a more just and peaceful world. Section 8. The Path Forward, Diplomacy and Dialogue. The path to a more peaceful future requires a fundamental shift in our thinking about conflict. We must move away from the notion that war is an inevitable part of the human condition and embrace a vision of a world where diplomacy and dialogue are the primary means of resolving disputes. Investing in diplomacy, strengthening international institutions, and promoting intercultural understanding are all essential steps in this direction. We must also be willing to address the root causes of conflict, such as poverty, inequality, and lack of access to education and opportunity. It is a long and arduous journey, but it is a journey we must undertake if we are to create a world where peace is not merely the absence of war, but a positive and enduring reality. Section 9. A Hope for Harmony. The human story is one of both conflict and cooperation, of destruction and creation. While the shadow of war may always loom large in our collective memory, we must never lose sight of our capacity for peace. It is within our power to choose a different path, to break the cycle of violence and create a future where diplomacy, understanding, and mutual respect prevail. It is a future worth striving for, a future where the enduring shadow of war is replaced by the warm glow of lasting peace. Let us work together to make that hope a reality.